Hello, race fans. Welcome to another episode of Short Track Guys Podcast, brought to you by ShortTrackExclusives.com. I'm your host, Thomas Faddis, alongside two other short track guys, and you know them well by now. Jim Pokrant, driver of the 07 Can'tQuitFishing.com sportsman here locally at Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida. And Ted Baber Video Productions, also locally here in Pensacola, Florida. What's up, guys?
Greetings.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, we've got an exciting show for you tonight, episode 17. We're going to touch upon a couple of things from the last couple of episodes. We haven't touched on the Tundra series quite a bit. We're going to catch up on that because we've got a youngster that was here locally in a truck series and did really well. And he's a rookie out there in the Tundra series. They've got one race left into the Dells, and there's a big race coming after that. We're going to roll right into that one. But Grant Thompson from Mobile has really shown, I think it was the first or second race, he finished second and kind of opened everybody's eyes. And he sits sixth in points right now after the fifth round. And I don't know what happened, but he finished 19th and bet a first-time winner, Jordan DeVoy. It's one of those great series that doesn't get touched on too much, but we're glad to have someone in that series that we can talk about.
Yeah, that's pretty cool locally. I mean, we got a lot of local drivers and drivers that we know from this area. He's probably the most famous one right now. Great kid, great driver.
They went to Golden Sands, in Wisconsin. And Jordan DeVoy's been with the Tundra Series since 2016. This is his first career Tundra Series super late model win with Mike Litchfield and Riley Stengham, Justin Mondyke, and Jordan Thiel. So I mean, it's a pretty good field out there, and hopefully they go roll into the Dells and maybe Grant, kind of get him a top five or something, maybe a win, and then finish top five, in the series as a rookie. So that would be that'd be worthy.
That'd be cool. Yeah, he deserves it. Like I said, he's won in the trucks. I think he won a pro late model race in Mobile a couple of years ago. The boy's got talent. That's, Grant's a good kid. And he's just a real nice person to talk to. So.
He's hooked up with a pretty good car builder, too, in Augie Grill. And somebody who knows a little bit about how to get around.
Just a little bit in them Grand American race cars. Yeah, Augie knows his stuff. Yep. So, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, their six-race series ends up at the Dells Raceway Park, and the Dells actually had a big series race just last week. I think it was on the 4th of September, and on his farewell tour in the 45 Super Late Model at the Dells, Rich Bickle gets another big win at the Tim Sauter Classic 200.
Yeah, and he wins a race that's named after one of his heroes, Jim Sauter, and he won the Joe Shear Classic earlier this year, driving number 36 in honor of Joe Shear. Rich Bickle's a heck of a race car driver. The only 3, 4, and 5-time winner of the Snowball Derby. Did it in Dodge, he did it in a Pontiac, he did it in a Chevrolet. The dude's amazing, and he's still at 60 years old and still winning races, and should have made the Snowball Derby last year, but got tied up in a wreck. Wasn't anything of his doing, but boy, I tell you what, that car was fixing to put the whoop on that youngster.
He was a little irate when and the car was all jacked up, but man, did he haul freight out there trying to get back.
I know it. That man's got a set of guns on him for an old guy. Us old guys, we got to stick together.
That's right.
But I would love to see him win the Snowball Derby as his farewell and just do a mic drop on the front straightaway. Just boom and kiss that snowball and walk away.
Yeah, that being his second ARCA Midwest Tour win this year. With a hard charger and a name that we've been mentioning, probably throughout when we got started with John DeAngelis.
He's coming along. He's getting it. John DeAngelis will win a big one for too much longer, I do believe.
Yeah, that Ty Majeski and Luke Fenhouse. Unfortunately, they were up front battling the lead, and they got together, and I think they got spun out. And I guess the officials said, "Nah, I think you're both going to go to the rear." So that opened up the door for Rich Bickle and all these guys behind with John DeAngelis. Johnny Sauter, Travis Sauter, Gabe Summers, all those guys battling for the lead, but Rich Bickle was up on top.
And surviving a pretty nasty crash earlier this year, too. Wasn't it Wisconsin Dells, or was it was Slinger that he wound up almost in the grandstands when he destroyed that one of his supercars? That was a nasty crash, but like I said, he's a tough old guy, and we hate to see him retire, but like I said, he's going out a winner, and that's awesome.
That's the way to be. Going out on top.
That's right.
Well, that's a little recap on the last couple of episodes. And for those of you who don't know, from our Facebook page, we have a special guest with us tonight. He is from Martinsburg, West Virginia. His name is Christian Rose, and I'm going to turn it over to Ted. Ted's going to take care of this, and We'll find out a little bit more about this cat and see if he's got any plans to come down to the Snowball Derby.
Well, that's what we'd like to know. But first off, Christian, I want to know, I think everybody wants to know, what made you decide you wanted to have a career as a driver?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different story than a lot of drivers. I grew up on a small farm in West Virginia. Honestly, we had a RC remote in the house that was just laying there. It was a 24 remote, and I was flipping through the channels, and this is back when NASCAR was on TNT back in the day and FX. And I remember, I think it was the Bristol night race I had managed to come across, and I recognized the Jeff Gordon remote to Jeff Gordon at a young age. And I'd always loved racing, but I'd always played sports. I played baseball, basketball my whole life, and I transitioned into playing college baseball. And I snuck in the garage area at a very young age and got to meet some guys that helped me and pushed me towards like, hey, there's opportunities in learn sports if you want it. And I come back home all excited and tell Mom about it, and she's like, well, you're going to go get a college degree. So we finished out college, and we're sitting on the couch watching the night race at Kansas back in 2018. And I was sitting there, I was like, baseball didn't work out, Mom. I really feel like if I had a shot in the motorsports world, that's where I was supposed to be at. And she was like, well, why don't you call the guys back up and see if there's an opportunity there? And honestly, everything just kind of fell in line from there.
Well, we would like to know, how did you sneak into the garage area? That's something we would love to hear.
Yeah, there was a back gate. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the garage area in Daytona, but where the media center stands, and you walk in from the infield towards the media center to the right, there was a gate there. And I had managed to walk past where the drivers walked through, and it was pre-set up and everything. And I noticed there was no security guard on the back gate, and part of me was like, you know what, we're just going to go for it. I put my head down, and I walked right through there, and I just kept in stride. I was like, oh, my God, this is working. Nobody stopped me yet. And the next thing I know, we're in the garage. And I made a mistake because I got a little greedy and worked my way all the way around the garage entrance and got to the front of the garage where it leads out to pit road. And I walk up, and there's cars there, and I'm like walking through, and they're like hot passing it, and try to flip my pass over to them, and it was a fan zone. They're like, they kicked me out. But I was thinking back around to the entrance. I snuck back in and came back, but I knew not to go back out front.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, you said you started off in baseball. What was the I guess like a turning point? I read about you had a connection with B.J. McLeod and Matt Tifft. Was that a turning point in your desire to want to be a driver?
I think it was a point where it was like, you know what, this is really something I can go after. I met one of BJ's crew members in the garage area, and for the life of me, I couldn't understand why I ended up there. My best friend was there, why I ended up talking to him. I can't remember his name to this day, but he said BJ's a guy you might want to call and get in contact with if you want to try to race. I was like, well, aren't I too old? Because I started really late. And he was like, no, if you got some talent or whatever, they'll work with you.
Right.
And BJ gave me basically a one-day test, and it was like a joking around deal, like, hey, you'll get a driver's suit, you'll get a helmet. This is something you'll be able to tell your kids one day that you drove a race car. Well, he had Matt come out, and Matt shook the car down. I didn't know Matt was going to be there. Matt had shook the car down, and BJ told him to take it easy. He didn't take it too easy, put a pretty dang good time down. And I think we ran 2 or 3 tenths off his time, or a couple, maybe it might have been 4 or 5 tenths. It was somewhere within a half-second range of Matt's time. And they basically queued the radio up and was like, have you ever driven a race car? And I was like, I've never been in a go-kart, never been in anything. And it was a super late.
Oh, that's
so
impressive.
We pretty much went from there, and they were like, yeah, you can, if you want to do this, we're gonna work with you. So, and that's pretty much how that got rolling.
That's a good story there. I mean, you that close to somebody like Matt Tifft, that's not.
No, Matt Tifft is no slouch. If he hadn't had the health problems he had, he'd probably be in a cup car right now.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. He was a good kid. And B.J. McLeod's a great guy. I've heard nothing but good things about him.
He gave me my opportunity, so, I mean, I can't thank him enough. And I talked about this on one of my other podcasts. It's kind of incredible the amount of people in the short track world and everybody, and as you climb the ranks and get around these tracks and everything, all the people to help things come together for you. It's really a gigantic family the way I'm starting to look at it and see it as. And
it is.
It's pretty incredible.
It is. That's one thing about short track racing. It is like a big family. We all try to look out for one another. That's for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned running some of these other tracks. That have you ever ventured into the simulator? Do you iRacing kind of get acclimated to some of these tracks before you get there?
So that was one of my things that when I started racing, I tried to use the sim, and I'm one of the drivers that it just doesn't translate over to the real thing. I have to feel myself in the car moving around. I have to feel if the car wants to push, I have to feel that. If it wants to spin out, I have to feel that. It's the simulator. I know I can go put pole times down. I've done it in the sim before and turn out really fast laps. And I think there's just something about the sim. There's always a reset button on that thing that you can have a brand new race car in 20 seconds, and versus the real deal where that's not the case. So
I'm the exact. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say it helps throttle points, brake points, learning the racetrack, in my opinion. But outside of that, that's pretty much all it helps me with.
I'm the exact same way. Thomas has a sim rig, and I can't drive in it at Five Flag Speedway to save my life. I destroy the car every time I try it. I climb in my car and I win, but you get in that thing and you can't feel it in the seat of your pants. Right. That's my thing, the vibrations and the feel and all that. So
that's the key.
Yeah, exactly.
Seat of the pants driving. That's
really
right. Important. On a different note, we noticed in part of your the write-ups and bios you had a big connection with volunteer work. What brought back the connection with the Boys and Girls Club?
Yeah, so we've worked with a lot of people from back home, and it's something that I really want to share as a message and everything from where I'm from. And when we started, making this a racing deal, we're like, what can we do in the community to help give back and help share an opportunity? Because honestly, I didn't really have anybody. I didn't come from a racing family. I didn't know how to get into motorsports, and I just got fortunate enough that I had parents that allowed me to go to races, and that opportunity arose at a later date for me. But I think one of the messages sharing to kids and sharing, especially the kids in our part with working at Boys and Girls Club, is the fact that if you have a dream, it's something that you can do. It's just a matter of how hard you want to go out and work for it. And that's why the Boys and Girls Club, was really something special to our heart. And one of the things I think that we are able to approach them as being a former college athlete. We work with them, and what they want to come through is the Triple Play initiative and really share that. And that speaks on mind, body, spirit, and how all that comes together and really helps you to be a successful human being, either whether you're sports, on or off the field, or just staying healthy. So I think that's a big pitch in the motorsports world too. But really answer your question, we want to give back. We want to give back to the community where we're from. Honestly, if we can grow bigger, then we want to expand outside of that. But being from West Virginia and being able to work with the Boys and Girls Club from there, that was a dream opportunity to be able to help and meet as many kids as possible and share my story and hope that that inspires other kids going forward, that if there's something, whether it's racing or if it's tennis or whatever it might be, that you can go out there and do it if you want to do it.
That's cool. Bringing up athletics, I want to ask you this question. When you prepare for a race, because this is an argument, age-old argument, whether it's short track or NASCAR or whatever, race car drivers are athletes. And what do you do to prepare yourself for like a 200-lap late model show? Because I know the NASCAR teams look at that. They look at your physical health and what you do as far as working out in the gym and things like that, because they want you 100% on your game if you get to that level.
Right. I really took the diet huge. So I was fortunate enough that I had some great coaches in the baseball world that really helped prepare me going forward to be in the racing world. I didn't know that they were preparing me for stuff outside of baseball, but in an aspect they were. So one of the names of Coach West, John O'Neill, Mark Shives, these were coaches I worked with from the time I was 13 to some of them when I got to college. But all three of those guys really helped me on the mental side, a nutritional side, and then staying in the best shape possible. So I'm in the gym 4, 5, 6 days a week. The minimum 4, most is 6. There's always a rest day in there somewhere. My diet's always staying pretty strong. We're trying to do as much as we can to simulate the pressure, the stamina, everything that you're going to have in a race car. That's pretty much what we do. And then I honestly do a lot of reading and stuff on sports psychology and all that in my free time to try to prepare myself, because I still am behind the game compared to a lot of people that grew up racing. But, I think those are things that we can chase down, and we can narrow that gap by reading, being in the gym, fitness, and everything. Those are things that personally help me. It might not help everybody, but for myself, that's what really strengthens me as a race car driver, I believe.
Good deal.
Yeah. And it goes along with the relationship, too. Another question is, tell us a little bit about your relationship with your crew chief, Sean Samuels, Mr. Big.
Yeah, so he's a man. He's been incredible. Everybody on that team that has come out there and helped us. I mean, Bruce knows his stuff. Bruce has been around the sport for 30-plus years. Amber Slade was my teammate. She made her ARCA debut, and she's going to run a couple more ARCA races this year. Sean, Chuck, everybody in that shop, it's really a family over there, and those guys have really given me a good atmosphere to excel. And the best part is I feel like that we are always trying to get better. And that's not been the case everywhere, you go. And I feel like that they're always pushing me to be the best version of me. And that's what I can take away from them and everybody there. They really want the best for me, and they push me to be the best. And it might not always be what I want to hear or do, but that's they have I can't argue with success, and that's what they have over there. So that's really what that comes down to, and the camaraderie and everybody there. It's a team, and I think that's one thing they really preach is a team sport. And honestly, anything in motorsports is a team. So
right,
yeah. Do you ever feel like you're pinching yourself sometimes as to how all this is happening?
I sit back sometimes after the last 3 years. The last 3 years have been a whirlwind. That's how long I've been doing this, and it's honestly flown by. I've had to get better at being a business person because we all know motorsports runs on sponsors, and
yes,
it's been between trying to perfect a pitch or perfect a lap in a race car, or getting less sleep, or trying to narrow a schedule down. It's been a whirlwind. But yes, I sit back sometimes and I'm like, wow, I can't believe this is where we're at, and I'm excited to see hopefully what the next couple of few years bring going forward.
And one other thing, how do you deal with your dyslexia? I know I've had cousins that have had it, and I know what it's about. But, I mean,
Right.
How does it affect you when you're driving the race car?
So I wouldn't say the race cars are where it affects me the most. I would say it's more along the lines of when we're trying to sell sponsors and we're putting emails together and we're sending out texts, and I have to constantly go through and double check and question myself on my grammar and the way I'm spelling it and everything. Those are really where it affects me the most.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say from a performance standpoint it's affected me too much, but I could be wrong on that. I honestly think the biggest part of dyslexia that affects me the most is how to come off and through text or emails or in a professional setting.
I do have one question. You said you like racing because it's mostly left turns. What are you going to do when you get to a road course?
Yeah, we were out at I do help the ARCA team and everything. That Bruce owns some ARCA cars, and we were out there at Sonoma this year and watching that and everything. I was like, wow, this is really cool. And he looked at me. He's like, you're going to have to learn how to do that one next. So it's definitely something that I look forward to. I get out on the go-kart track every now and then and I love getting on the go-kart track, the road course, everything, GoPro up here and all that stuff. But I drive a 6-speed manual, so I'm used to shifting on the road and everything, downshifting in traffic and everything. It's not going to be the same as when you're obviously going 180 plus or wherever you're at in some of these racetracks or road courses on the NASCAR circuit. But definitely something I look forward to definitely learn.
Yeah, Watkins Glen's going to be a joy.
Yeah.
Well, good deal, man. Let me ask you this: you've raced at New Smyrna. How's that place
Yes.
to get around? Because I've that's one racetrack that's kind of on my bucket list. I would love to take my street stock down and make laps. I've heard that place is super fast on the straightaway, tight turns, and you've had some really good finishes down there.
It is. It's that was the place I had the most experience at. I really do enjoy that racetrack. The banking's awesome. You can really use a second groove, almost a lane almost 2.5 lanes up on in turns 1 and 2. And then you almost have to paint it down the bottom in 3 and 4. But I think it's a very cool place because it teaches you to run 2 different places on the racetrack. You have to be, at least in a pro or a super, you have to be a lane or 2 up on or in 1 and 2, and then on the bottom, painting down on the bottom in 3 and 4. And you can make the top work in 3 and 4 and restarts there. Cool. I think the best part about that place is it gives you multiple lanes and different grooves to run. It is a really fast place, and that's one of the things I've really enjoyed about it too. You really feel the speed there in the super or pro.
That's cool. Yeah, we race it, or I race personally at Five Flag Speedway. Is there any chance that you might get to run the Snowball Derby one year? Because that's our race up here, and I know you've heard of it. It's it's a pretty cool place, man. We'd love to have you down and hang out with us. Even if you just come down and hang out, it's first weekend in December, man. You got an open invitation.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil any plans or anything yet, but we've talked about messing around with the idea of the flake this year. So I don't know if that's going to come together or not just yet, but that's as of now, that's been on our list. We've had it circled. So I think here in the next couple of weeks, hopefully we'll have that planned out, and we'll hopefully be making an announcement that we're going to run the flake this year.
Well, that would be awesome. And if you would let us know, and we'll hype it up on here for you. Because, I mean, I've been racing out there since 1997 in street stocks and super stocks and stuff like that. It's a great little track. She's a rough old girl, but I sure do love that place.
I made my first trip down there this spring with the ARCA group and everything, and I was helping out there. And it's definitely it looks like a really cool place. It's a place that's on my bucket list, especially, I feel like an ARCA car is going to be really tough to run around a heavy race car around that place, how much it wears tires out. But the late model, I mean, I can see where you really carry some speed around that place and fly. So I definitely, looks like there's an art to getting down there and painting that wall in 3 and 4 too. So there's definitely some things that I feel like that would be pretty cool to run around that place.
Well, the one guy you need to watch down there and keep an eye on him is Bubba Pollard. That's kind of our fun driver. We love him because, we have one of his fenders in our studio. He won we had a double header. He won the first one and was running 8th and hit the wall, but that's how we ended up with the fender. But he's somebody you should talk to. He gets around that place really, really well. And like I said, he's kind of one of our drivers, and we'd love to have you. And if you need any help when you come down here, let us know. And I got some friends we can help you pit crew and do all that, because we would love to have you down here.
Well, I appreciate that. And Bubba's somebody, I watch a lot of film, and that's how I try to narrow the gap my experience on some of these places. So Bubba's somebody I watch a lot of stuff on. Josh Berry, anybody that's really successful in the late models like that. I mean, there's not a place Bubba goes, I don't think that he's not a threat to win. So that's the same with Josh. Those two guys are big keys in watching and trying to help me get better in the race car. But we do have a little bit of an announcement, and I'm hoping I can make the big full announcement here in the next couple of weeks. We're going to go, I'm making my ARCA debut out in Las Vegas here in 2 weeks on the bull rig. And then we're going to go back out and run Roseville in the ARCA car as well 2 weeks after that. So
that's awesome.
I'm hoping to be able to announce a sponsor and a partnership with that. It's a pretty big deal on who's coming on board with us. I just haven't had the official announcement, or haven't had it lined up or teed up yet to make the official announcement. But I encourage you guys to stick with us and watch, and definitely be surprised on who's going to be helping us out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'd love to short track guy's logo to be on the side of that car one day.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah. But I mean, really, seriously, that would be cool. And you have our Facebook page, and we gladly, if you need to put an announcement out, we'd be glad to help you with that, man. That's awesome. We're glad to hear you run ARCA.
I appreciate it. It's a dream come true. It was a goal of ours set out this year, and then hopefully it's going to lead to bigger opportunities going forward. So who knows, right?
Right.
Cool.
Speaking of people you follow, who has been your inspiration, the mentors, the people who've helped you get to where you are right now?
So I grew up, honestly, the two drivers I watched the most in my life. I don't miss a Sunday race. I don't miss a Saturday race. I'm on the couch glued to it every weekend. Back when there was practice qualified, I didn't miss one. And I think that's why I've been able to have some moderate success when I've been able to climb into race cars, because I've listened to it I've not been around it, but I've been able to listen and understand what goes on the weekend. But Jeff Gordon was my hero growing up, diehard 24 guy through and through. And then I hopped on Kyle Larson before. I know we've seen everybody dive on Kyle Larson in the last probably 6-8 months, but I was a Larson fan back when he ran I was at his first race in the 51 car, a cup race, and I ever since him and Jeff had that crossover, they're crossing each other back and forth in Chicagoland in the playoffs back in 2014. I was like, that's I knew I was going to have to find somebody pretty soon after Jeff retired. And I was like, after watching Jeff go down and shake his hand, and they were laughing about how they were crossing each other, I was like, I guess I'm going to be a Larson fan. And I had no idea he'd end up with Hendrick and everything. And he's off to a heck of a season this year. So those are two guys that I grew up personally watching. And then the people in the sport, Bruce Cook and everything, he's really been a huge, helping me in the race car and allowing me to get better and work with me. And, there's been so many people I could sit here and list off for an hour on everybody on the short track circuit that's, helped me, or people from my hometown. So there's just so many people that goes into it. And it's whether from the social media side or sponsor side, or people at the racetrack that are just willing to help you, put a set of tires on the race car. It goes a long way. And I have some partners that are in Blackdraft Distillery and the Boys and Girls Club, obviously. And hopefully here in the next week we'll be able to announce our big one. But every little thing helps, and there's so many people that have allowed me to get this far.
Right.
That's cool. And if you'd like to call us and do some of your announcement on our podcast, we would love to hear it. To be very honest, that'd be awesome, man.
Absolutely.
We'd like to have you down here, man. I think that would be really cool to get to meet you and get to know you. And like I said, your success is on you. And to be able to get in a late model like you did and do as well as you did the first time in it, that shows talent. And for these people to stand behind you, you've got some talent.
Well, I appreciate it. And we haven't won yet, but it's coming, man. I'm telling you, we're not going to stop until we do. So
there you go. Keep digging.
Well, that's the attitude. That's the attitude you have to have too, right? For sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, Christian, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking your time out to join us and kind of put out, what Christian Rose Racing is all about and your affiliations with everything that you're doing, community work and your strive and your attitude and everything. It's a positive for us. And we look forward to keeping up with you. And like Jim said, we'd love to have and kind of hang out with you and kind of help you as much as we can.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you guys for having me and taking the time to allow me to come on here and share my story a little bit. And whatever we can do to help promote the podcast or anything, let us know. We'll share it on all of our socials as well.
All right.
Awesome. That'd be great, man. Thank you so much.
Yep, sounds good. And we look forward to talking to you soon, Christian. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, man. Have a good evening.
All right.
You too. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good night. And that was Christian Rose for Christian Rose Racing, the number 41 super late model with Cook Racing Technologies, making his debut out there in the Bull Ring in Las Vegas in the ARCA Menards West Series. We look forward to keeping in touch with him, and you're going to hear more about him, I'm sure, coming up shortly. On the flip side of that, Jim, we'll get back to the Sportsman race. We're coming up with the Night of Champions. So what you got going on in the Pokrant stable?
Just getting the car ready, getting my car ready to run, and getting my buddy Ben's car ready, and getting my teammate. He's making his debut again after missing several races because of football season. Brock Gintz. We're getting their car ready to run. Hopefully, get him a good finish. And nut and bolt in the car, trying to bulletproof it so nothing tears up. We got to finish 8th or better. It's a double points night. We just need to unload the car, be smart, and we'll be track champions. While I'm thinking about this, my friend Ben's car is number 343, and the reason being is we lost 343 firemen on 9/11, and this Saturday is the upcoming 20th anniversary of 9/11, and I hope no one has forgotten that day. I remember where I was. Everybody, their generation has a thing that we remember where it was. I remember everything about that day and what happened, and we just want to pay a little tribute to the first responders and the people on the airplanes and the people who died that day. Just want to put that out there. And I also want to ask for some prayers for a good friend of ours and a fellow racer named Billy Melvin. He's in the hospital on a ventilator. COVID's kicking his behind. He's got some pneumonia problems and some blood clots. And we'd ask for thoughts and prayers for Bill Melvin, who survived a horrendous crash at Five Flag Speedway in the Snowball Derby a few years ago, to now to be in a hospital and hurting pretty bad. And I just want to pray for him and anybody else that has that awful disease of COVID-19. So,
yeah. All right. I mean, our thoughts and prayers are out for the 9/11 victims, everybody involved. We all understand it's the 20th anniversary of that horrific event. And Billy Melvin, we wish you the best, dude. We're praying for you and hope you get better. I mean, just thoughts and prayers are out to everybody, really. So, we've kind of caught up with the Tundra Series and the Dells Raceway Park with Rich Bickle. We've had an interview with our guest, Christian Rose Racing. Jim getting prepared for the Night of Champions, and we're closing up episode 17. And guys, any final thoughts?
Well, thank you, Christian, for looking us up and asking us to get you on our podcast. It was a pleasure. Wish you all the best of luck at your next few races, and we hope to see you at the Snowball Derby.
I mean, we want to also pass that invitation out to any other up-and-coming drivers that want to put their experience out on the line and let us help them out too.
Yeah, we'd love to have you. So you have our email. Look up on our Facebook page, send us a message, or email me at jbp07@hotmail.com. Ted, you're
Ted _Baber at yahoo.com. I'm a Yahooligan.
Yep. Just send us an email. That's how we got a hold to Christian, and we would love to have you on our podcast.
Yeah, it's open doors. Just kick back and enjoy in our studio. You're more than welcome to have anybody.
That's right.
All right, guys. Until next Wednesday.
That's right. Let's do it.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Good night.
Good night.